Yes, Raghu sir.
Yeah. Good evening, students. Welcome to yet another session on automotive sector. And I'm sure you're all safe and your family members are safe and you are following all the government protocols. And in today's uh, lecture, we are introducing Mr. P. Arjun Raj, who is more than anyone else. He is our honorable faculty for our work integrated learning programs, and he has completed his BE mechanical and ME in automobile engineering, and also he holds MBA degree from Madras University, and he is specialized in operations management, and he is member of various councils, and one such council is a South Zone Council member, Indian Value Engineering Society, where he independently organizes lots of value engineering, value streaming operations, research, TQM, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. He does lots of seminars, and he organizes events for working professionals as well as the students like you. And he is a major contributor in that area. And also, he is a motivational speaker, and he works as adjunct faculty in various engineering colleges and different business schools also, and his main focus is on the automotive engines development, and he also is specialized in vehicle dynamics and automotive uh, diagnostics and interfaces, and so much of automotive knowledge this gentleman carries. And I'm sure this particular session will give you lots of idea, and it will provoke you to join the automotive stream. And with this, I hand it over to Mr. Arjun Raj. Mr. Arjun Raj, over to you, sir.
Yes. Thanks, sir. Thanks, Professor Raghuram sir and Professor Santosh sir for this opportunity. And it's really good to give a lecture on to the topic electric vehicle. So today we'll be covering the part one of electric vehicle overview, and still we also have two more sessions where I'll be covering a few more topics with respect to the electric vehicle test standards and few more case studies as well. Yes, I also request the students and the participants to also note down my mobile number and also email ID. If in case any clarification to the topic, you can also call me even after the class as well. So I can be contacted at p.artunraj@gmail.com. In fact, I also have the WLP of BITS mail ID. Even you can also contact to that. And my mobile number is 8778983428. So today we are going to see the three topics. So as we have only 1 hour time, so I decided to go only with three topics. And the first topic will be on to the basic concepts and what are the terminologies that we are using for electric vehicle. And then the next one is the importance of electric vehicle performance, where we'll be seeing the FAME concept which is being adopted in India. And the last topic, what we are going to see is the overview of electric vehicle in India. What is the strategies and what is the technologies we have? What are the challenges? So those things also we are going to see with respect to the electric vehicle. First topic is going to be a basic concepts and technologies in electric vehicle. And as you know, this electric mobility is applicable for all segments, starting with a two-wheeler, then three-wheeler, auto, e-rickshaw, e-auto, what you call, and then even the four-wheeler, the car segment, and also the commercial vehicle as well. So it is spread across all the segments of the vehicle category. It is not. It is not that it is applicable only to one particular category alone. So as you see, it is applicable to all segments of the automobile. First, we'll start with an electrification, then we'll go with an hybridization concept. So, as you know, the conventional vehicle is operated with the help of the engine-based application where the fuel is an input and the power is transmitted to the wheel with the help of a transmission. Whereas in the case of hybrid, you have both engine and also the electric motor. The source of an engine, is fuel, and the source of electric motor is battery. And there are different type of batteries as well we have. And here, during the engine start-stop condition, the vehicle can be run with the help of a battery mode. And during the highway condition, the vehicle is running in a highway or in expressway, the vehicle can be run with the help of an engine. So this is the dual advantage you have. You can either run the vehicle with the help of electric motor or with the help of an engine. If in case if the charge is getting over or there is no charge with respect to your electric motor, uh, then you can also run your vehicle with the help of an engine. So this is one advantage you have with the help of a hybrid. You have different type of hybrids as well. You have series hybrid vehicle, you have parallel hybrid vehicle, you have combination of series plus parallel hybrid vehicle, and you also have complex hybrid vehicle as well. So that those things also we are going to see in the further slides. And with the help of the last electrification is pure electric, where the input is coming from a battery to an electric motor. Motor also acts as a generator in some cases. And then finally, the power gets transmitted to the wheel to the help of a gearbox, which is a part of a transmission. So this is what the type of hybrid what I was telling. You have the series hybrid vehicle, you have parallel hybrid vehicle, series plus parallel hybrid, and also the complex hybrid. Let us see one by one. The first one is a series hybrid vehicle, where you have the power which is transmitted to the wheel with the help of the electric motor. So, as I said, hybrid is nothing but a combination of engine plus electric motor. So here, the power to the wheel will not directly come from engine. In fact, this is gets transferred with the help of the electric motor. Here, the power from the engine is being used for a generator purpose, and in fact, that is used for the power converter, where that is an input to the electric motor. Whereas in the case of parallel hybrid vehicle, you also have the power which is transmitted to the wheel with the help of transmission by both engine as well as electric motor. You can see the power from the engine is going to the transmission and finally to the wheel, which is directly coupled with the help of a mechanical coupler. And similarly, the power to the wheel is transmitted through electric motor as well. So this is the configuration that we have for a parallel hybrid, and this is the configuration we have for a series hybrid. So when I say series parallel hybrid, which is a combination of both, first A plus B. So here I can either power my vehicle or transfer my power to the wheel with the help of the transmission through IC engine mode or through electric and also with the help of electric motor mode. So it is also having the dual advantage, as it is having the combination of A plus B. So it is having the dual advantage. And the last one is going to be the complex hybrid, where as the name itself indicates, is a complex one, where it is also similar to the series parallel hybrid, but here what happens is you also have the power converter, which is an input to both battery and also the generator, which means the electric motor. Whereas in the case of series parallel hybrid, the input is coming from only from the generator to the power converter. So here it is slightly on the reverse side. The power converter is used for charging both for the battery as well as for the electric motor. So these are all the different types of hybridization that we have. So you might be knowing the micro hybrid, mild hybrid, full hybrid, and plug-in hybrid. So the full hybrid is what is divided into the various types like series or parallel or series parallel or complex hybrid. Uh, so one such example is a Toyota Prius, where you have all the different technologies forms a full hybrid, where you have the automatic start-stop technology, and also you also have the regenerative braking technologies, which operates above 60 volts, and also you have an electric motor to assist an AC engine as well. And here you use both electric motor and also the engines. That is what it has been mentioned here. And this full hybrid can also be a place where it can drive uh, at sometimes only with the help of electric motor also. So even that options also you have. And when I say micro hybrid, you have only automatic start stop technology. So the one such example is Citroen C3, which is mentioned here. And even some of the Mahindra vehicle like Scorpio, even those also have the micro hybrid application. So when I say about mild hybrid, it not only includes the automatic start stop technology, but also it have advantage of regenerative braking, and also it has an electric motor to assist an combustion engine as well. And one such example for the mild hybrid is Honda Insight. And the last one, very important one, is the plug-in hybrid vehicle, where you have all the combination of all the features. Along with that, you also have the rechargeable batteries, which will help uh, for extending the electric vehicle range as well. So you have different version called plug-in hybrid vehicle, PHEV. You have PHEV 20, 40, 60. When I say PHEV 20, it means in a single charge, the vehicle can run up to 20 miles per 20 miles in a single charge with the help of the electric motor. In a single charge, it can go. Means with the help of the battery, a single charge, it can go up to 20 miles per 20 miles without any disturbance. And when I say 60 miles, PHEV 60, it means in a single charge it can travel up to 60 miles. Even the plug-in hybrid vehicle is also coming, picking up in the market. And one such very important vehicle is Chevy Volt, where the efficiency is going to be higher. So as you see from micro hybrid to the plug-in hybrid, the efficiency is also going to get increased because you have all the features getting added when you go from micro to the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. But now mostly we are going with either full hybrid or a plug-in hybrid vehicle, as the transition is going to happen is happening from micro to mild and mild to full hybrid. But as the cost of the vehicle is on the higher side here, that is what making the customer to think of buying this plug-in hybrid electric vehicle and also to the full hybrid vehicle. But the transition is happening as the technology is also getting increased. Let us see the comparison between the engine and electric vehicle. So as I said, the source of an engine is fuel, which is coming from the fuel tank. So assume that this fuel efficiency is going to be 100%. When it comes to engine, you have a lot of losses, which is contributing to 76% of the loss. So when I say engine loss, it can be the blowaway loss or blowdown loss or pumping loss or heat loss, intake exhaust loss. So you have a lot of losses. As a result of that, the loss because of this losses, 76% of the energy is getting wasted. And when the vehicle is running in city driving, you have a standby operation where the vehicle will be moving in start stop condition. So as a result of that, 8% of the energy is getting wasted. So almost 84% wastage is going to happen when the vehicle is running in a city driving, when you're running the vehicle in engine mode, which means with the help of the fuel. So and only 16% is going to the driveline. And again, you also have the driveline loss, like how you have the engine loss, but the driveline loss is going to be lesser. So only 3% loss is going to happen. And finally, with respect to the vehicle related aspect like aerodynamic structure, rolling structure, or with respect to the brake resistance force. So even now the losses is going to happen. even those things also we should take into consideration. So, but what is our interest is? Our interest is to reduce the losses in this powertrain area, basically with respect to the engine or with respect to the drivetrain. And when the vehicle is running in highway condition where you don't have a standby loss, so and again you have slightly higher engine loss because the heat transfer is going to be higher because the engine speed is going to be higher. So because of this reason, the efficiency what you're going to get to the driveline is going to be 23%, whereas in the previous cases it is only 16%. And final drivetrain, the energy efficiency which is going to the wheel is going to be 30% in the case of city driving, whereas here it is going to be 90%. So when you go with the electric vehicle, especially when you go with hybrid system, um, so what is the advantage that you have? You have when I say hybrid, I told you also have the micro hybrid, which will be used for a start-stop application where you can eliminate the standby of 8%, and then so when you eliminate this 8%, again you can get the efficiency here. And moreover, what you can do is you also have the full hybrid options and also plug-in hybrid options. When you go for a plug-in hybrid, you can also eliminate the engine entirely. Entirely, you can also avoid this 76% of engine loss. And when I say when you're going for a full hybrid, it will also reduce the engine size down. We can also downsize the engine, and also we can pick up the engine with the flywheel. So the overall percentage can be reduced with the help of a full hybrid or with the help of the plug-in hybrid or with the help of the micro hybrid as well. So when you're going with a mild hybrid, you also have the regenerative braking, where this will also help for increasing the overall efficiency of the complete system. This is what the electric vehicle. So here you have the motor, and the source is a battery, and here you see 90%, only 10% loss is happening. Whereas in engine you have 76% loss, and the drivetrain loss is slightly on the higher side here because you have only single speed gearbox, and at the same time, still there are a lot of research is going on to how to reduce the drivetrain loss in the case of electric vehicle. But the overall, you see 76% efficiency you're going to get, which is going to the wheel. But in the case of the engine, you have only 13%. You see there is huge difference with respect to the efficiency. So this is one advantage that you have going for a electric vehicle. And similarly, you can also compare the wheel to wheel efficiency. What is that wheel to wheel efficiency? This is the power one, uh, the electric power generation which is getting generated, and once you generate, you are not going to get 100% of the power what you're going to generate. So there will be again a loss where you're going to get only 33% of the power, and out of this 33%, when you transmit this power to the station, the charging station, again you are going to have only 94% of this 33%. So only 31% is going to come to the charging station. Okay, and when you charge your electric vehicle with help of the cables or connectors in the charging station, and this 31% is not going to be 100%. So again there will be some the efficiency loss will happen. So finally, you are going to get only 23%. This is the case in the case of an electric vehicle. So assume the case of the engine where you have a diesel or a petrol as a source coming from a refinery. So here, you see the beauty here is from the input you see 82% efficiency you're going to get during the refining. So here only 33%. You see the beauty here 82%. Okay, and even the transmission wise also that is the 98%. And again, you see when it is coming to like what you have for a charging station, here you have the petrol station. So you see 80% of the efficiency you have. Okay, but when this 80% of the efficiency is going to the vehicle, like a conventional vehicle, either a petrol or a diesel. So what happens is the overall efficiency, this 80 percentage is not completely getting transferred. Only 16 percentage is getting transferred, which means you can see how much the overall efficiency loss you can see. Only 13 percentage you are going to get finally. But here the overall efficiency is going to be 23 percentage, where when you're plugging from the charging station to the wheel, almost 76 percentage loss is happening in the case of the electric vehicle. And here, uh, sorry, it's not 76 percentage loss. 76 percentage of the efficiency is getting regained, and here only 16% of the efficiency is getting regained. So considering this, the well-to-wheel efficiency is much more better for a electric vehicle. As I said, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle can operate with the help of both electric vehicle and also with the help of uh, the engine operation. So here you have the electric range where you can have a charge sustaining mode as well. So this is the engine condition. This is the battery condition. So here you have engine on and also engine off. And you see here the battery charging condition can also vary between 0, 25 of 85 up to 100. And here in the case of PHEV, initially the vehicle will run with the help of an electric vehicle mode, where when I say initial, it is nothing but the start-stop condition. So, as I was also mentioning, during the start-stop, we start the vehicle with the help of the electric motor. So, and when the vehicle speed is getting increased, then we can go for a transition from the motor to engine. And here we can use the engine for a full performance condition in the case of plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. And as I was telling you that PHEV is also having different version like PHEV 20, PHEV 40, PHEV 60, which means in a single charge of a battery, the vehicle can go up to 20 miles, 40 miles, and 60 miles respectively. So these are different types of the vehicle. As I was telling, you have the battery electric vehicle, hybrid electric vehicle, and fuel cell electric vehicle. Electric motor, basically where we have the FCEV category. So here the source is electric motor. Here both engine plus electric motor. Here only electric motor, and the energy source is coming from battery, and you can also use ultra capacitor to increase the source of energy. And here you have a combination of battery, ultra capacitor, and also engines. And here you have only fuel cells. And the features is quite common. Both for the battery electric and also hybrid electric. So the one what I want to highlight here is this also the upcoming area where the fuel cell is also being used, and it is in research side, and even some of the prototypes has also been developed. You can also look into this aspect as well. Here also you have little or no emission, and the efficiency is going to be higher here, and it is not going to depend on supply of electricity. But here, whereas the other cases you need to have electricity, here the dependency is not there with respect to the electricity, and even but only problem is the price is going to be higher, but it's also available in commercially. Okay, so let us see some of the terminologies that is being used in electric vehicle. The first one is the state of charge. It is in line with the battery capacity. It is always expressed as percentage of the maximum capacity. And you also have the depth of uh, discharge called DOD. It is nothing but the percentage of the battery capacity that has been discharged. And you have the term called capacity. When I say capacity, it is nothing but ampere hour, which is nothing but the total ampere hour which is available when the battery is being discharged at a specific current. So here you also have the rating called C rate, where it will range from 100 percentage, and it will get reduced. So initially, when it is in completely charge condition, the capacity will be 100 percentage, and during the running condition, the capacity gets decreased, and that's where the C rate is also will vary. And the energy also we are using the term called energy, where the unit is going to be watt hour, and this is nothing but the one available when the battery is discharged at a specific current. Here also you have the rating C rating, which is again going to be 100% from the state of charge. You have the term called specific energy, which is expressed in watt hour per kg. When I say watt hour per kg, it is nothing but the energy per unit mass. So the unit of energy is watt hour, and you have the term called a specific power, which is nothing but the maximum power that the battery can provide per unit mass, which is nothing but a function of the internal resistance of the battery. These are the battery specification because, as I said, the source of uh, the energy to the electric motor is coming from the battery. So you need to understand some of the specification in line to the battery. So here you have a very important term called capacity state of charge, um, which we have seen in the last slide. And these two term these two factors will determine the runtime, but the others are not been related. So when I say siblings, it is nothing but the other parameters, but the main parameter which is determining the runtime is the capacity and state of charge. So the capacity is nothing but the electrical capacity, which is mentioned in ampere hour. So this is the overall battery, which consists of empty portion, stored energy portion, and also inactive portion. So the overall space you call that as a rated capacity, which includes all the three individual part, empty part, stored energy part, and also inactive part. So the state of charge is nothing but combination of the inactive part and also the stored energy part, where the state of charge includes the stored energy and also the inactive part. So you have the available capacity, which is our interest also, and our interest is going to be the capacity and also the SOC. So that is very much important whenever you deal with any of the battery technologies. So yeah, so here battery specification I agree. So when I say the battery is an input to the electric motor, so you have different type of batteries. So initially, we had a lead acid battery because of its high weight and low energy capacity, low energy density. Also, we are actually this is bulky in size. Actually, almost three times heavier than what the battery we are using now, lithium-ion battery. And currently, we are using lithium-ion, and lithium-ion polymer is also a um, slightly upcoming area. And apart from that, we also have some a lot of new technologies are coming in the battery, like dual carbon batteries, where the IIT Bombay had done some research into the dual carbon battery, where they are also using those, and they have done some trial where they can able to run the vehicle from Mumbai to Delhi, which means almost it can cover close to 1,000 plus kilometer. So they had some trial, and it was also successful, but it is not coming into the commercial aspect. But even there are a lot of researches going on with other type of batteries as well. We are going to see those things in the further slides as well. And these are all different things. And when we select the battery, we need to select considering the high power to high energy density, and even the weight should be lesser. The lead acid, the cost will be lesser, but again, the weight is going to be three times, and the energy density is also going to be lesser. So that's why the transition is going to happen. Is happening. Almost nowadays, we are not using lead acid battery, and we are using with this lithium ion, and the future is going to be lithium ion polymer, and there are a lot of other thing. Even you have the graphene. So we will see some other types of batteries as well. So you have the rating called EPA rating, which is nothing but a Environmental Protection Agency rating. Here, EPA is the one which determines the range of the estimation. So here you have different conditions on which the EPA rating is been determined. It is based on the different type of drive cycle that you have, depending upon the test conditions, depending upon the temperature or the testing scenario. And you also have the miles per gasoline energy rating. You will see it in the next slide. So, and again, you see this is the test cycle that has been done for with respect to the time and also with respect to the vehicle speed, where you are going to test the vehicle in different phases, like cold start phase, transient phase and also in hot start phase. So here, when you do the testing like this, you are going to get some values, which is nothing but in terms of MPGE or in terms of EPA rating. So that is what we are going to see now. See, this is MPG is nothing but miles per gasoline equivalent. MPG. So these are some of the vehicle. So 2020 model Tesla Model 3, Hyundai Ioniq, Toyota Prius, Tesla Model 3 again with standard range plus. Here, when you go with MPEG, which is nothing but the miles per gasoline equivalent, you can go with almost 148 in the case of city driving condition, and you can go with 132 in the case of highway condition. So, but when you go with the electric mode, so this is nothing but MPG is for when you go with a conventional vehicle like gasoline vehicle. So you get this much is the miles range actually. But when you go with the electric vehicle, with the same configuration, you can go up to 250 miles. So that is one advantage that you have when you are shifting from the conventional to the electric vehicle. And even you see the MPG rating of the Hyundai Ioniq, it is going to be 133. So is average. This 133 is nothing but average one. It is nothing but a combination of city and highway. Here also 141 is also going to be average. And you see again, this is also going to be higher. You see, when you go with a pure electric vehicle, you are going to get 170 miles overall range. And same is applicable to other vehicle as well. So let us take an example of a Tesla Model 3, where you are going to get MPG is going to become something 1.3 on average. So when you go with the electric model, you can get up to 240 miles as a total range. So the Environmental Protection Agency rating has been compared between different vehicle models, and also with different MPG ratings as well. So this is, and again you see here, let us see some of the examples. Let us take Tesla Roadster, where you have the battery size in terms of kilowatt hour. It is 53 kilowatt hour. Where you have the EPA miles range, it is 244. You see, this is higher than the gasoline vehicle of the same version. Okay, so same version of Tesla Roadster, when it is with the gasoline model, you can get only 119 range, whereas when you go with the pure battery electric vehicle, so you can get up to 244 miles. And this is the different uh, range that you have, EPA range to that of kilowatt hour. And similarly, it's not that every time the EPA range will be higher for the electric range. There are some cases you see here for this particular application, the MPG rating is higher than that of the EPA rating, and which means the gasoline version is giving better mileage. Means in terms of the miles, the range, it is somewhat higher than the gasoline. So similarly for a Chevrolet Spark also, the gasoline is much more better. BMW i3 also, this gasoline is better. But again, when it comes to a Tesla S60 model, uh, again this is better. So the improvement is happening, because of the technology what has been brought. And but now whatever you have is the one where the MPG is the EPS more better than the MPG rating. So as I was telling, we are going with a type of different batteries for electric vehicle. So we go with, nowadays we select the lithium ion battery because of the high energy density, and the other reasons is the high power density to that of the weight ratio. And again, but again, this is going to be slightly expensive as well. That is one reason, almost three times less high cost, and the weight will be also three times lesser actually. But again, you have the lifetime will be better. So the warranty and all, it is going to be good, better than lead acid battery. And this battery performance is being considered with respect to the state of charge, state of efficiency, everything. So here, when I say the state of charge, it involves the battery voltage translation and also the battery current integration. So voltage is nothing but current. When you increase voltage, current also increase. And also, when I say the state of health, it is based on the IR, internal resistance, conductance, capacity, voltage, self-discharge, and and also the acceptance charge, etc. We have the battery management system called the BMS, where again this BMS monitoring is very important, which will monitor with respect to the current voltage and also the cell what you have, with respect to the battery system, and also the temperature and the state of power, state of health. All these parameters will be analyzed when you're going for the BMS system, and this will be continuously monitored to ensure that overall health of the battery is going to be in the safer side. So when you are selecting the battery management system for your vehicle, it includes the decision considering all these aspects with respect to the energy, charging, and impedance of the cell, and also the maximum discharge current limit and charge current limit called DCCL, and also what is the total energy which is required for use, and also operating time, and what is the number of cycle. All these are very much essential when you select a BMS system for your electric vehicle. And you have the BMS system where you also have the communication network. So you have two type of communication. One is external communication, and the one is going to be internal communication. And here you have the wireless communication where you also have the DC. And again, the network is going to be centralized or distributed or modular. You can select considering the features, and you can also select a different type of topologies for this battery management system. You can also go with star topology or the regular one what you have. Bus topology also you have. Okay, or you can also go with the combination of the different star plus bus. But again, if different topology will also call for different complexity. Sometimes at the same time, the cost is also playing a vital role. But again, the very important thing is how effectively you are communicating. That is very much important, considering that you have to select a topology system. And again, battery balancing, battery optimization, all these things needs to be very much important when you select the battery management system for your communication point of view. And these are the parameters that you need to consider with respect to the energy point of view. This is a simple example of a battery management system for a two-wheeler application, where you need to where this BMS will monitor the motor and controller, and the CPU unit, central processing unit, and also this will also monitor the charger and the display unit. And the input to this is coming from the sensor. You also have the temperature detection. So if the temperature is going to be higher, so all this can be detected with the help of this temperature detection sensor. And this is the battery. Battery what we are using for this application is lithium-ion battery. This is the configuration of a two-wheeler basically. The two-wheeler is an example of the TVS iQube. So that is this is the configuration of that vehicle I have taken for just an explanation point of view. So here, when you use the BMS, you need to look into the complete aspects, whatever it would, with respect to the temperature or the health condition, health of the condition or state of charge. All these things needs to be taken into consideration. These are some of the components of the TVS model what I was studying. So where you have the chain, you have the motor, you have different electrical components. So when you say the motor, so you need to select the motor considering the rated power, you have the rated speed. You need to select the rated torque, rated current, efficiency, ratio, real speed, and weight. So all these parameters you need to select for when you go for a motor. Okay, so the specification will vary, and accordingly the power will also vary. So you have different type of motor, which will explain you. So when you come to the controller, so you need to select the controller considering the battery what you are going to use, and also the other conditions like the feedback conditions, throttle conditions, and also the vehicle conditions as well. So considering all these things, you need to select the controller for your electric vehicle. So what is changes that is happening from IC engine to the electric motor? You know, the electric motor is have instead of engine you will have electric motor. Instead of engine management system you have a motor controller. Okay, instead of fuel tank you have battery and battery management system. Instead of petrol station you have the electric charging station. Okay. See now when you go for a you see here in the case of IC engine, where you see at the start of the RPM, when you're starting the engine, the torque is going to be very minimum. Okay, and the torque gets increased when the speed of the engine is getting increased. Okay, and again it is going to get dropped after some time. Whereas when you go for an electric motor, at the starting stage itself, you get high torque. Okay, this is the beautiful one, and this is one of the biggest advantage that you have when you go for a electric vehicle. And the this is you see here, the electric motor can produce a torque at the start itself, which means at 0 RPM at its and again the torque output is going to be constant. Okay, you see the torque output is going to be constant, and again it is going to decrease. Okay, anyway, after the two-third of the vehicle speed, the torque will get reduced. But still, even if it is getting reduced, still it is higher than the engine torque. So that is the advantage. That is why everyone is interested to go with an electric vehicle. And again, the electric vehicle do not require the multiple speed transmission, whereas here you have the different speed gearbox like single speed. Whereas in the case of electric vehicle, a single speed gearbox is sufficient. So when you go with the engines, you have multiple speed gearbox, where you nowadays you have 5-speed gear, 6-speed gearbox as well. So this is what the different type of motor that you have. I told you need to select the motor considering the different parameters. So you have DC motors and also AC motors. DC motor is divided into brushless and also brushed motors. When I say brushed, again it is divided into serious wound, shunt wound, compound wound, and permanent wound. And again AC motor is going to be synchronous or asynchronous. So asynchronous is nothing but the one which is divided into single phase and three phase. So for our application, we go with most of the DC application where we go with BLDC motor, or even we go with the permanent magnet motor. I'm going to show you one of the three-wheeler application, which is a startup company called Fitwel Mobility, which is located in Pune. I have been the part of the taking development consultant there. So they use magnet motor for their application, and even some of the two-wheeler, all those applications is related to these motors. Okay, let us see the characteristic curve of electric motor. So this is the rotational speed versus the torque. So I told you the torque is going to be higher when compared to that of engines at the start of the RPM itself. So during the start itself, the torque is going to be higher, and it remains going to be remain constant. Say for example, at least 2/3 of the maximum speed, and again afterwards there will be a drop with respect to the torque. So you have two type of torque. One is going to be continuous braking torque and also the maximum braking torque. And the motor power, the original motor power is going to be higher. Okay, you see the original motor power is going to be higher, and see power is nothing but 2 pi n is nothing but the speed, the torque by 60. So considering the motor power versus the torque, so and this torque is based on the torque which is ranging between the continuous to that of maximum. So it is not that every time you get the maximum rating torque or every time you get the continuous rating torque. It will vary between the continuous to that of the maximum rating condition. So accordingly, the power will also vary for your vehicle. So according that, you need to select the different type of motor. What I was telling. So you need to select the motor considering the your application or your torque range, or what is your expectation, what is the speed you drive the vehicle. Okay, so the commercial vehicle or the bus speed may be higher than the two-wheeler speed, and accordingly the motor configuration may be different. So it all depends on even the torque range also will be different. when comparing to two-wheeler and three-wheeler to that of the bus or a car application. So those things you need to be taken into consideration. Okay, so these are the different type of steps that you have for manufacturing the battery in any company. So, how the battery is being manufactured? Okay, first will be a kind of a component production where the manufacturing of the battery will happen. Where first they will manufacture the anode alone, and they will be manufacturing the cathode, and they will be having the binders and the electrolyte and also separator. So all this will be a component production. It will be manufactured individually. Sometimes it may be manufactured individually in their company, or it can come from outside. Okay, next will be a cell production. First one will be a component production, and next one will be a cell production where the cell consists of uh, the anode, cathode, and also binder and electrolyte and separator. So they're going to integrate it, and finally they go for a module production where they are going to configure. First, they are going to manufacture only single cells. Then they are going to make the single cells into the different configuration, considering the application what they have selected, and they are going to make it as a single integrated module. And finally, they go for a packing assembly, and then they are going to ship it. They do means after shipping they integrate it into the vehicle, and finally they are going to use that for a testing condition or for a vehicle condition. Finally, it is very important that the battery after some time you need to recycle that, and same after recycling you can also reuse that as well. Even there are companies which is also earning good with the help of this recycling technology. They are buying the used battery from the car owners and also some of the service dealers sometimes, and they get it with some cost, and they also recycle it, and the business is also quite interesting one. So that what I was telling is you have different type of batteries. It's not that now we use lithium ion, and lithium ion will be ever. So the trend is changing with respect to the batteries again and again, and there are a lot of batteries. And again, the researchers says that the new batteries are being explored with respect to the silicon-based application, or the magnesium batteries, or paper-based batteries, even the potassium-ion batteries. So like this, there are different type of batteries are being explored. Even you see these graphite dual-ion batteries. See, graphite is available abundant in India. So and again, even when we use the graphite dual ion, the cost is obviously going to be lesser than even lithium ion battery. And again, the energy density is also going to be higher for this application. But the problem is the proven technology is not there. It is still in research side. Even as I was studying the dual carbon, which has been researched by IIT Bombay, still everything is not coming into a commercial aspect, but everything is in testing phase only. These are the perception about electric vehicle. So initially, the perception is good for the fuel point of view. 95% of the people are preferring to buy with the electric vehicle, and they have less maintenance cost because the number of parts is going to be lesser. But again, only the problem is the riding range is the problem. But when you buy the two-wheeler, the riding range may not be an issue because you may be using it for less kilometer. In those aspects, the two-wheeler riding range can be um, increased. But when you go with a car kind of thing, where the riding range is very much important, so that is where this backlog is going to happen. A lot of technologies are there for charging also. I will explain those things as well. And the charging, this is where the 81% of the people are telling is negative. Um, charging first. Now you have to charging. You can also swap the batteries. Okay, so even that technologies you have. Even you have the charging which can happen when the vehicle is running in slow speed as well. So you have a lot of charging infrastructure. You have inductive charging. You also have some of the charging where you use pantograph to charge your the bus application, basically electric bus application, where the Ashok Leyland is using those technologies. pantograph is used for a railway application. So means even the electric train which is running with the help of the pantograph. So they are using now the pantograph here for charging the bus application as well. But so this is the one, the dimension and size. People says that because of uh, because of the usage of the electric motor and the dimension size is something getting varied. But again, now this is the world perspective. But yes, of course, for a two-wheeler application, the center of gravity will get varied. Uh, but again, overall, since the aesthetics or the other aspects is now well taken care, even for a car application or a three-wheeler application. So this all this perception is getting changed from a customer point of view. Okay, this is the electric vehicle working for a two-wheeler application basically. So I was telling the TVS iQube, they have this configuration. This is the battery. They have the converter where they have the bidirectional converter. They have DC converter, and DC is also DC AC converter. The fixed DC has been converted into a variable AC or variable DC, and then again you also have the high voltage bus, and finally you have the motor is going to which is giving the source to the transmission. Finally, the wheel gets rotated. So here you also have the regenerative braking application for a two-wheeler application, where regenerative braking is the one where you're going to get the source, the battery gets charged with the help of the wheel. When I say the charge, it is nothing but the current. So the mechanical energy is converted to the electric energy, and that electric energy in turn is used for charging the battery. So you have very important topics with respect to the application, where you have the ABS technologies. You also have the very advanced thing like the regulators or LEDs or here you use BLDC motor for this application. The TVS IQ what I was telling. So let us go to the importance of the electric vehicle performance. Um, so I was telling the cost is nothing but the faster adaptation and manufacturing of electric vehicle. And see, this FAME India, this scheme started in the year 2015, which is started as a phase one, and after April 2019, this had started as a FAME phase two, where this phase two is going to concentrate on these four parameters, which involves the demand incentive based on the energy content of the battery, and also the charging infrastructure, and also based on information, education, and also communication network, etc. So here for these different components, also allocated different budget or different cost fund have been allocated by the government of India. Totally so far up to the projection year 2020-22, so almost 10,000 crores has been allocated for this four category. One for demand incentive category, another for charging infrastructure, another for education, communication, and also information aspects. And again, even for some of the other administrative and other aspects. And you see, this is the overall thing, and this is why the FAME concept came into picture, uh, and that is why the EV performance is also very much important. So this is applicable for all the vehicle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, hybrid, even the e-bus application as well. Where as per the guideline for this demand incentive details and distribution, maximum number of vehicles to be supported is this much vehicle can be supported, and because the volume is going to be higher for two-wheeler, and as the number of categories is getting increased, the volume is going to be higher. Bus application is going to be only 7,090 vehicle, and you see the battery size also going to get increased. You see, this battery size is going to increase, and again, the incentives is also going to get varied accordingly per vehicle. Means with respect to the different category of the vehicle. the incentive is also going to get varied. And overall, the government is also allocated this much amount of crores, 8,500 crores for the demand incentives alone. So, so this is how, because of this reason, the electric vehicle performance is very much important. They have gained a very big one with respect to the manufacturer point of view, and also with respect to the dealer's point of view, and also with respect to customer point of view. So when you go for the electric vehicle performance, so you need to look into the design aspects where you need to select the length, width, height, wheelbase. So this is one example of a bus for a bus application which has been published in the government of Uttar Pradesh website. So they selected this specification to achieve the electric vehicle performance, and even center of gravity is very much important. So all these aspects we need to consider, irrespective of the vehicle category, irrespective of two-wheeler or three-wheeler or four-wheeler or commercial aspects. So you need to select all these parameters such a way your electric vehicle performance is going to be increased. So this is the different vehicle category. This is the homologation category or a vehicle, and you have different range starting from minimum to maximum, where you have a minimum range of 80 kilometer as per the test procedure, and you also have the different energy consumption for the different vehicle category, and the maximum speed also varies, and the minimum acceleration also varies. So all these criteria has been very much important when you go with the film concept, and all these are very much important. And considering that, even the incentives is also been given, and that's why they said that the EV performance is very much important. So let us see the overview of electric vehicle in India. Just I go with the concepts alone. So in India, the electric vehicle started a way forward, but the peak had happened only from 2000 onwards. Okay, so 2001, the Reva started its manufacturing. Then the Mahindra E2, BMW i8. So all these are the car segment. So when it comes to the bus segment, Ashok Leyland started its journey in the year 2013. Then Mahindra, they started with the electric East Pro. Initially, it was with the conventional engines. Then they come with the East Pro. And with respect to the different bus application, the Goldstone BYD or Tata Star Bus Ultra Electric. So this even the HR came up with the Skyline Pro Electric model, JBM Solaris. So all this had happened after 2017. And with respect to the car segment, where the passenger car, maybe the SUV, so the Mahindra has started the E20, E20 or KUV 100 or Tata Tigor, Tiago, Hyundai Ioniq. All these are the different vehicles that you have. Nissan Leaf. But the peak happened after 2017. Since the past 3 to 4 years, you can see it, good development had happened. You can also see some of the high variety vehicle like the Volvo XC, BMW, is where the cost is going to be close to 2.5 crore here, and even the cost of this is going to be higher, close to 60 to 80 lakhs. And the variety is going to be slightly higher, lesser, but still the peak happened for the past 4 to 5 years with respect to the car segment as well. This is just a comparison between the Tata Nexon, MG Motors, and also the Hyundai Kona MG JTS model, where the different parameters have been considered. So when you select any vehicle, what you need to look is the range of the vehicle, and then the price of the vehicle and the acceleration. So these three mostly they think of it, and considering that they will buy the vehicle. So this is almost the three vehicle are almost having the closer configuration, but again the price is slight difference is there. Tata Nexon is on the lower side compared to the MG and also the Hyundai Kona. But again, accordingly, the range is also going to be lesser. You see only the 300 kilometer, whereas the range is higher here. Accordingly, the cost is also going to be varied. So this is very much important whenever you go for any comparison. When you go for yeah, this is the electric bus technology. So where we have three important category, one called charging infrastructure category, energy storage system category, and also propulsion category. So when we are going with the propulsion, it can be a hybrid or a pure electric. It can be rechargeable energy electric vehicle as well. So it can be the combination of parallel or series or combination. So when you go with the energy storage system, you can go with ultra capacitor or a pure battery or a fuel cell. We are not going with this fuel cell or even ultra capacitor, but no, we are going with a battery based application where we can go with lithium ion battery or even this Ashok Leyland. This is one of the example of Ashok Leyland where they are also trying with lithium polymer. They also have some other options also, nickel metal hydrate, solid state or lithium iron phosphorus. So they also looking into the other aspects apart from the one what has been mentioned in this one. Like apart from lithium ion, they are also exploring these options for their bus application and sodium nickel chloride. These are the different options that they have, but this is what they are exploring now. And with respect to charging, yes, I told you about pantograph. Apart from that, we also have the inductive charging, which you will see now. Okay, this is the electric vehicle bus technology and architecture where you have the charging. It can be AC charging or DC charging or the DC flash charging. You have different flexibility for the different type of charging. Then you have the BCU body control unit. You have the vehicle control unit. You have the inverter. You have the lithium ion battery with here you have nickel metal carbide where it can operate up to 650 volts DC link. You also have the auxiliary power unit. So as I was telling you, you have the motor traction motor control system with multi-speed gearbox for this application. So here you also have the power electronics auxiliary device for HVAC, electronic steering, and also the compressor application as well. So this is the electric vehicle bus traction control system, which has been used by Ashok Leyland company. So they use front electric motor. They also have the rear electric motor. And again, they have the high voltage routing and the charging is again, they are for the EC charging, they also have the charging socket which can charge here. And again, the thermal management is going to be much more risky. So it's for a two-wheeler or a, sorry, not for two-wheeler, for a four-wheeler application, either a passenger car or a commercial vehicle. The cooling is going to be a challenging one because of the temperature. So here they are going with a liquid cooling lithium-ion battery, and the thermal management, even the opportunities are there. Okay, the research opportunities are there in this field as well. And yeah, these are the different aspects that the electric vehicle bus traction control system that you have for the Ashok Leyland vehicle. So even the hub motor is there. We are using it for a different traction purpose. This hub motor has been used even for a for a cycle application or even for a e-bike application or for a car application. We are using hub motor or even for a electric bus. Okay, so this hub motor is also playing a key role where we can use it considering the different capacity starting from 12 volts to that of 800 volts from DC to AC as well. This is what the bus application, what I was telling, the Ashok Leyland, one of the example I told. So they can be get charged with the help of the pantograph. That is what is shown here, where you have the similar application of the railway, and it can be either through the plug-in operation also, where you can charge it with the help of the charging station. So you also have the current, the overhead line current means the wires which is going there, and with the help of that you can also charge your bus. And you see, you also have the induction charging principle where uh, you get the electromagnetic force and the current is being passed, and finally you receive that as an input as a part of current, and finally you charge your vehicle. So even the inductive charging principle is also available. Even some of the place where the vehicle will run with slow speed, still the charging will happen with the help of the power and of the EMF getting induced when it is getting transmitted. So these are all the different electric scooter and the different electric bikes that you have in India. The other is ruling in number one currently with respect to the volumes or with respect to uh, the
Sorry to interrupt you, Arjun sir. How long? I mean, are we continuing?
Another 15 minutes. Another 15 minutes. Is it okay?
Actually, sir, yeah, because you have another next session also. So the students have some few queries actually that we need to answer. So
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
maybe then you can continue in the next session when you are doing. Is that workable,
Yes,
Abdul,
sir.
sir?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, sir. Yeah.
And one student, I mean, Sai Gopal has asked the question, what is regenerative braking? That's one question that he asked. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Uh,
So he was basically interested in finding out what is regenerative braking. That's his one question. And then there are a couple of questions more, so that they are clear.
yeah, sure. Yeah. So here, when we say the regenerative braking, when we are applying the braking, what happens is the thermal energy it is getting the energy what we have is the mechanical energy, and you also have the experience the electric energy into it. So here, what happens is when we apply the brake and whatever the energy what we have that is being used for charging the battery, and again that is used as an input for charging the battery. So this is again going to be a reverse application where you can use it for charging the battery. And the name itself says the regenerative braking. You are going to regenerate the power with the help of when you apply the brake basically. This has been
So
quite a
basically,
good
it's an
concept.
energy conservation device, is it? That's how
Yes,
it
sir.
is.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, excellent.
And again,
So one more.
it's basically
Yeah, please.
recovery. It is basically you can call this as energy recovery mechanism,
Yeah.
which is been used when you are moving the vehicle, or basically here the kinetic energy is been getting transformed, and finally you get the conversion of the mechanical to electric energy, where that is used for charging the battery.
Excellent, sir. And one more question is, he's asking, when you mentioned that it is gasoline equivalent, he wanted to know exactly what it is.
Yes, sir. So when I say the gasoline equivalent, say for example, I was telling the different values for a different vehicle. So let us assume if the MPG is going to be 100, and that is nothing but for the similar, say for example, the input. Say if I use the same input for the electric vehicle, and also the same input for the gasoline vehicle. Okay, with the same input, I can travel up to 150 miles per miles range. The total range can be higher for electric vehicle with the same input. Whereas the MPGE rating, what I was telling is 100 miles per range. It is slightly on the lesser side. But when you go with the same input, when we go, um, the miles or the range is going to be higher for electric vehicle. But it doesn't mean that every time the MPG is going to be lesser than EPA. But now the trend is happening where the same input or with the same comparison, you are going to get a high range of the miles with respect to the electric vehicle technology. So that is what you need to compare the MPG. MPG is nothing but miles per gallons energy conversion, like that is being used for a gasoline-based vehicle. And EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that those ratings are being used for a electric vehicle. And for the comparison between EPA and the MPG is nothing but for the same input source, it can be either form of power or the energy. For the same level of energy, when I give us an input, the electric vehicle is performing much more depth of miles for the same, and even the range is also going to be higher.
Thank you, sir. One more question has come is, when you said the electric motor produces uh, torque at 0 RPM. I mean, it was a little, when they wanted some answer on that.
Yeah.
At 0 RPM, it produces torque. I mean, or
Yes. See, when I say the power, which is the combination of 2 pi nt by 60,000, for getting the power, you need to have the torque, and that is where we have a lot of challenges in the case of IC engine. But here we have the technology help of the battery and also the controller. So with help of the electric motor. So what happens is even we need to select. We also have different type of motors, as I was telling you. You have different DC motors. You also have the BLDC motor. You have the PM motors. Then switch reluctance motors. You have different type of motors where you get the high torque at the start of this one, and irrespective of the type of motor what you select, it's always the torque is going to be higher for electric motor because the motor itself it is used for converting energy, and for converting energy itself is having the torque properties in it. So that is the reason why you have high torque when you're going with the electric motor technologies, even at the start of the vehicle speed.
Thank you, sir. The one last question is, when you compare the internal combustion engine and electric vehicle, is not the electric vehicle better in terms of servicing cost and frequency of servicing, etc.? Is it something it has better advantage compared to the internal combustion engine? That's what the people want to just understand.
Yeah, with respect to the servicing point of view, electric vehicle is much easy also because you have less number of components. Whereas in the case of ICE engine, you have more complex parts. Even the transmission is also going to be complex. But here you have only single speed gearbox. For rare case, you can go to multiple gearbox where you need to have high power of high torque. In the case of the bus application, what I was telling, where or in the case of a commercial truck, where you need to have high load. In those cases alone, you can go with multiple gearbox. But unlike for a three-wheeler or a normal thing, you can go with a single gearbox application itself. And again, number of components is going to be lesser in the case of electric vehicle. So it becomes easy during the servicing point of view when we go with the electric vehicle, rather than when the servicing is slightly going to be complex in the case of the engine-based application. But on the other side, there are challenges only with respect to the charging point of view, and then there are some problem with respect to the thermal management point of view. But because you need to have the liquid cooling battery management system to cool the batteries, that is also quite challenging. Whereas in the case of two-wheeler or three-wheeler, the cooling is the thermal management is not an issue. But for four-wheelers, especially for a car where the speed is going to be higher, and even for some of the commercial application like truck or even the bus application, where the speed is on the higher side, the thermal management is a big problem for a battery management system. But as far as servicing is concerned, it is not complex when compared to the top IC engine.
Okay, that's due to less number of parts and probably less number of moving parts also, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Now, even nowadays, even for battery, you can also swap the battery. Suppose if you do not have time to charge your battery, what you can do is you can remove the battery what is there in the vehicle, and you can swap. You can put a new battery where it is already been charged. Even we also have those options as well.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. And there are no further questions from the students. So, can we conclude, Arjun, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, we will see in the next class.
Yeah. So, students, thank you. Yeah, sorry.
I was also slightly means because of time constraint. I also increasing my speed.
Yeah, I understood. No, we understood completely. I mean,
in next class I will prepare the content accordingly. So
this subject is this particular topic is a very interesting topic to the students, and it's an upcoming topic. So I'm sure the students will be very benefited, with a lot of details that you have provided. And thank you, Arjun sir, for your time amongst your busy schedule. And thank you, students, for watching this. And thanks, Mr. Santosh, for organizing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Raghu sir. Thanks, Arjun Raj sir, for joining this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.